Hello and welcome to Start the Beat with Sykes. My name is Sykes and this is my podcast. Before we get started, I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank everyone who checked out the last episode. If you're one of those people, I hope you enjoyed it and thanks so much for coming back. But for those of you out there who are new to the show, welcome. Please feel free to make yourselves at home. And as always, there's beer and soda and tea and coffee in the fridge. Cheers, my friend. Cheers. It's Sunday. We're, taking it a little easy today, I suppose. I can't drink on Sundays anymore. I probably shouldn't drink at all, to be honest with you, but that's not what we're here to talk about.
It's no fun.
So for anyone out there that doesn't know my guest today, I just met him about 35 seconds ago downstairs in the lobby. Please make some noise for my friend Alan Welding of the Pittsburgh Music Magazine.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
You're very welcome. Happy to have you here. So for those of you out there that don't know Alan or the Pittsburgh Music Magazine or can put two and two together of what the Pittsburgh Music Magazine is, why don't you let us know?
Oh, man. We want to start with the origins?
Sure. Well, let's just start what it is exactly.
Pittsburgh Music Magazine is basically a passion project more than anything. What we do is we promote national bands, but we also promote local bands,
like national bands coming through the area.
Yes. That's probably our main thing. So it lets Pittsburghers know, this band is coming, you want to get tickets now, whatever. So the PR companies typically send us stuff a little bit earlier than maybe you would hear it on the street.
Cool.
So we do a lot of that promotion. We go to concerts, take pictures, sometimes do interviews, write opinion articles. It's kind of whatever anybody who's doing stuff for me, whatever they're into.
Yeah. Okay. So you have like a team of people working.
I do. It's kind of like people come in and they come out and back again. And,
well, if it's a passion project for you, that means it has to be an extra passion project for everyone else, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I'm not paying anybody.
Exactly.
Including myself. So it's, but there is a pay to it in a sense that, okay, you're probably getting into the show for free, but you have to take pictures, you have to process the pictures. I'm probably going to ask you to write a review. So there's time involved, but you get some really, really cool experiences. And I've had a couple people who have written for me who have actually gone on into professional writing jobs. Yeah, because they had that national exposure.
You have to start somewhere.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah,
no doubt.
That's the thing. I'm very, very supportive of all my friends that are working artists, but I feel bad, especially for friends of mine that are photographers, and they grab a camera and they're just they want to get paying gigs right away, and it's just it
doesn't work that way.
Nobody knows who you are. You build a portfolio.
Yes,
unfortunately.
Yes. Yeah, I mean it's taken a long time for me to get to the point where venues will pay me, or someone else will pay me to do the photos for them. But like you said, you had to build the portfolio. I drove my wife nuts the first, probably 5 years of it. I was out 4 or 5 nights a week shooting bands. Yeah. Anywhere from a crappy club with zero lighting, to, better places like Stage AE. And then, it took me a long time to get into PBG. But, I'm there now.
Cool. So let's rewind then.
Yeah,
let's start with those origins.
Oh, man.
How did this all start?
So maybe it started off the midlife crisis in some ways.
Cool.
When I turned 40, I'm a teacher by trade. I teach for Chartiers Valley High School.
What do you teach?
I'm an English teacher, but I teach rhetorical communications, which is a fancy name for debate and argument.
Neat.
And I love it. It's still an awesome job. 26 years and counting. But I was the union president for 4 years, and it took a lot out of me. You're doing a lot of stuff for other people. You're not doing much for yourself. And I was like, I need something creative. I'm not doing anything creative. I'm just kind of putting in that Monday through Friday grind. And the first thing I did was I went into the Batman audition. Remember when Batman was filmed here?
Yeah.
And so I did that.
Okay.
And I ended up working like 14 days on the film, and I've got at least 5 seconds.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Congrats, brother.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And I did a couple other things, but it was like, this isn't really fulfilling for me. I just wanted to see, behind the scenes. But my first love is music. My close second is my wife, who's here with us today. But I kind of got into photography just out of nowhere. my brother-in-law gave me a cheaper Canon Rebel. I started taking some nature pictures and so forth. I'm like, well, I love music. I'd really like to do concerts. And so I started bombarding people with emails, and Opeth, if you know the band Opeth, were the first ones to say, hey, come on out.
We'll super cool.
Yeah. And I was like, holy crap, Opeth. And then,
where was that at?
Where?
Yeah.
Stage AE.
Okay.
It's about maybe 9 years ago.
Cool.
And got to shoot like Ghost, their very first show here, in Pittsburgh. It was really cool. And then I just started like branching out, trying to find different people. My first awesome rejection letter was from Eddie Van Halen's second wife, Janie, who I still am in contact with today. I didn't get to shoot them then, but I eventually did get to shoot them. So that was pretty awesome for me as an 80s kid.
Hell yeah.
Van Halen was my bread and butter when I was in high school. So, it was pretty awesome, and that's what it's all about. Like I kind of like fulfilling like dreams.
So in terms of just reaching out to those people, what were you doing? Just finding contact info, sending emails?
Yeah, it just started with emails, looking at record companies. One of the things you can do if you're aspiring is go on Facebook, look at the about. A lot of times there are press contacts. But the hard part is if you are an independent photographer, chances are they're going to say no. And I found that out pretty quick. So then once I started getting those rejections, I'm like, well, I'll just start my own thing. If no one else will give me a job, I tried with like City Paper and a couple other people, and they're like, wait, you have no experience.
Oh, sure.
So I'm like, all right, I'll do it on my own. And that's what I did. And it just steadily grew from there.
And it's funny how, some publications, regardless of the people that have experience, they still have complete dog shit stuff that they put out.
Sure.
Even though they have an experienced staff or whatever.
Yeah. Believe me, I've seen stuff from, some of the guys that, work for the Post Gazette or, and you're like, all right, these guys are professional photographers. And they're like, well, maybe they don't care anymore.
I think that's a lot of it too. In my experience is that I've dealt with people in terms of like, whether it's, photography or reviews or, talking about shows, like there's always like things that are misquoted or misspelled or inaccurate information. It's like, I don't think these people are dumb. I just think they're overworked and underpaid and just probably don't give a shit.
You wouldn't believe how many people go into an interview with these, musicians, bands, whatever, and have no clue about them, whatever. Their first question will be like, how did you get your name? And right away, I mean, they're like,
sure.
I've been asked this 1,000 times.
Uh-huh.
It's research, man. It takes work. You can't just walk into a bus and, hey, I want to take a selfie with you to put on Instagram. And, but you have to find out, what are these people promoting? What have they done? Who's asked them the same questions over and over? Don't ask that question. Know what pisses them off.
Yeah.
You walk in from Doyle from the Misfits, there's certain things, you do not ask Doyle. He's just going to look at you and you're like, oh my God, he's going to beat me up. But if you get to know him, and I've been very fortunate to get to know Doyle, at least he knows who I am. And he's a sweetheart, but you have to know your material. And the people who don't, are just looking for a free ride and free tickets or whatever, they're going to bomb every time.
So what was like finding out, the inner workings of the musician's mind like for you? Did you have much experience with this before getting into the photography thing, or were you just a fan of music, like on a general level?
Well, I mean, I'd say the only experience I probably had was managing a punk band here. Like in the early 90s, D76.
Okay.
They were pretty well known in the area and opened like for everybody in the punk scene. If anybody went to Club Laga, you probably saw us. So, I mean, I had a little bit of an idea of what that artistic mind is and how to work with it, like how to be frustrated with it. If anybody's ever been a TM or manager of any sort of way with a band, it's crazy. But I think maybe I have a little bit of that mind. I consider myself a creative. I dabble in a lot of stuff. I'm a master of nothing, but I love anything creative. I like to put my hands in it and get dirty. So I think I have a little bit of that going for me, but everybody, like personalities, man, you just gotta you got to figure out the nuances and watch a bunch of interviews that they've already done. And like I said, it's research, it's time.
Yeah. What has your experience been like with other photographers?
Great.
Cool.
We have a very close-knit group here in Pittsburgh. I don't care who you work for. I do, but you know, there's no rivalry, which is really cool. And you know, everybody's like, well, what's the thing that you love best about, you know, starting your magazine? Is it meeting all these musicians and going backstage? And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool. But the best thing has been the people who work the venues, the photographers, the fans.
Sure.
I've made some of my best friends, you know, like Jason Nelson's a very well-known photographer around here. And, you know, I started off like, oh my God, this guy's been in Rolling Stone. You know, like I was like in awe of him. And now he's one of my closest friends. So all of us really work well together. And it could be as much as, hey, I can't get to this show tonight. Is there any way you can throw me some pictures? Because no one's really getting paid. So, you know, and then a lot of people come and do stuff for me, which is pretty awesome. So I'd say everybody's pretty friendly. Sometimes when you go to a different city, you know, you're the outsider, but I'd say for the most part, everybody's doing the same deal. They get it. And everybody's really, really cool with each other.
Yeah. You had some background, you said, in managing a band in the past, but now, since you are a little behind the curtain on a bigger scale, getting to see stuff at, you know, Stage AE and PPG and things like that, how has been living behind the curtain to a degree changed your perspective on the music industry?
Oh, man. You know, I don't know if it changed my perspective. I always knew, you know, that there was a facade and there's, you know, all this inner workings behind.
Yeah.
But I mean, to see some of this stuff on a massive scale and see like, and you're behind and you're walking the hall of PPG and you see all these computers and all the stuff the fans don't really realize a production, why their ticket costs $125.
Yeah, sure.
Because it's costing them a ton of money to put that show together. And that's pretty cool. But I don't know, what was your question again?
This is your perspective and how it has changed, if at all, just from being behind the scenes.
I think that, you know, you see some people that have become very jaded in the music business, but I would say the majority of people are really, really genuine. And, you know, if they still love what they do, they realize that even little peons like myself are part of what has made them successful.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that, you know, regardless of we're all just human beings.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Best case scenario, 10 fingers, 10 toes.
Best.
You know, flesh and blood. You know, we're just people. And some of us are on a stage.
Yeah,
singing in front of 10,000 people, and some of us are just, you know, in the crowd with our family, and everybody should be having the same amount of fun.
Yeah, you know, they are just people. You know, I have my friends who are like starstruck by an athlete. I probably wouldn't know most of them if they passed me right now. Not that I don't enjoy sports, but it's just not my thing. Musicians, yeah, I'm going to notice who they are. But do I get starstruck? Not so much. I mean, maybe if I met Keith Richards, I would probably be very, very tongue-tied.
Sure.
But I mean, it's pretty cool. You know, you're in the back with, you know, God rest his soul, Tom Petty, you know, and I'm watching Tom Petty do his thing backstage. And it's like, I'm like in front of a legend here. Like this guy's like just his aura, or Roger Waters, you know, I'm like, oh man, like this is pretty cool. I'm in the presence of greatness.
Yeah.
You know, but like you said, they're just people.
Most of the time, those people, at least the ones that have a decent head on their shoulders, just want to be treated like people. They don't want to be treated like a fucking superstar.
Exactly. My coolest experience ever was with, and I'm not a country fan, Garth Brooks.
Oh, nice.
He and his wife are the nicest people in the world. And Garth and I got into this big conversation about when he went in the studio with Kiss and did Hard Luck Woman. And he was really liking that because, you know, everybody was asking him the same old stuff. And he and I are just getting into it. And then his wife comes over and, you know, introduces herself. And I'm like, these are the nicest people in the world. And they're some of the most famous, both of them.
It's
some of the most famous.
Insane how big Garth Brooks is. It really
it's crazy.
It speaks to how much you don't know about the world.
Yeah.
Just because I don't know. I know a lot of people. I don't know one person that listens to Garth Brooks. But Garth Brooks is like what, the highest grossing concert artist of all time?
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. I mean, he could do a week here and sell out every night.
Yeah,
you know,
no matter how big you think your bubble is, you don't know anything.
right. Right.
You have no idea. Aside from Garth Brooks working in the concert industry, I imagine you've shot shows for a lot of other things that are maybe outside of your wheelhouse. Have you ever done anything like on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, like any pop or hip hop stuff?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Talking about hip hop, and something to come out great of the magazine is, I've become really close friends with Frizzy.
Okay.
Who's a Pittsburgh rapper. He's an Emmy Award winning Pittsburgh rapper. He just he just got the Guinness Book of World Records for he rapped for what, like 30 hours.
Oh, yeah,
yeah, it was insane. But he's on Sony, he's nationally known, and getting introduced to him, which is a whole different story. It was completely non-music related. Actually, it was something with teaching, but he and I just like clicked, and going to shoot that, and see some of the stuff that he does has been awesome. He comes and talks to my kids at school. Just a good dude. But yeah, I mean, seeing a country show and then going to a death metal show the next night, and the next time, it's Katy Perry,
sure,
or whatever. But I mean, I'm a metalhead by nature, but I just love music. So I mean, even though I'm not going to listen to Katy Perry so much, I can still go to that show and be like, oh my God,
yeah, this is a production.
Yeah, it's incredible. Pink. I was like, this is nuts. Like, I just really appreciate what they do as artists, so you don't have to love the music to appreciate them and what they do.
Yeah, there's something about, like, I keep saying that I think like the current state of rock music and how like it's very like it feels a little bit different, which it's always going to change. Sure. But I think a big part of it was whenever like rock bands dropped the ego and stopped wanting to be rock stars.
Yeah.
I'm not to say there's still rock bands that want to be rock stars.
Doubt.
I mean, we mentioned them, but like that used to be every rock band wanted to be a huge rock star. Right. And now there's so many rock bands that are like way too, it feels like they're way too self-conscious and they like wear it on their sleeve. And it's like, I don't think that anybody wants this from rock and roll. No. It's so weird. People want a show.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes me think of like this summer I saw the Rival Sons for the first time. And I was like, damn, these guys, they're dangerous. They're sexy, man. I mean, it was like seeing like a new Stones, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, this is like, God, this is really rock and roll. This is what I've been missing, I don't necessarily like the ego outside of, the stage.
Totally.
But when you do have it on stage, it does come across like, yeah, this is me, man. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to entertain your ass and you're going to love it.
Yeah, I really, really miss that in a lot of music. And it just kind of bleeds over into a big part of what I'm involved in, which would be the local music scene, which is would be an interesting way to segue this conversation. We've been talking a lot about national bands, big venues, but obviously you probably have your toes in the local music scene and some of the smaller venues as well.
I do. I have some people that go to a lot of those things, and I wish I had the time to go to a lot of things that I don't. But, anytime, like one of my things in my emails is like first thing I do is put in Pittsburgh. So if that's mentioned somewhere in my email, I'm saying, oh, local Pittsburgh band. I'm going to make sure if it's decent that I'm going to get that on there. I'm not going to say I'm going to promote everybody.
Yeah.
But, I love the city. I love the people. I don't think you can get a better place, a class of people. Just everybody's so friendly. And that goes with the bands as well. There's some awesome bands we have here, and it's kind of cool to see some like Code Orange, to just make it. But yeah, I love the local scene. There's some really good websites. Like First Angel Media does an incredible job, focusing on the local type stuff. So yeah, I dig the local. I wish I had more time to do it, but I a lot of people wouldn't believe it, but I do have a life. So.
Speaking of having a life, and just before, because I want to segue into the other, we'll say the yin to the yang, right, of you. Okay. But what I wanted to ask you before I forget is, do you still get the opportunity to go to a show without a camera, and what's it like for you?
Yeah. You have to make that choice. You know what I mean? And it's funny you say that. I've got 2 shows coming up out of town, and I've got to like figure out, do I want to like shoot it or do I just want to chill with my friends? I'm going to Vegas next month to see David Lee Roth.
Nice.
At House of Blues, because as I said, unabashed VH fan. I don't care if he can sing or not.
Anytime I talk about time travel, I say that I would go back and see early Van Halen, David Lee Roth era live if I could time travel.
I saw 1984 that concert. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, it was actually my first concert. So
hell yeah,
unless you count Bobby Vinton with my parents, but I try not to tell.
Yeah, my first concert was the Kinks, which isn't a bad one.
Oh man, that's great.
Yeah, my uncle took me.
That's killer.
He took me to see the Kinks and the Stones, all sorts of stuff when I was a kid. Yeah, Stones are coming.
Yeah, the Stones are coming, and that's another one. Like, can I, shoot it? I hope so, but it messes you up because you typically you shoot the first 3 songs, and then with a venue like the stadium, you got to leave. You got to take your stuff. They don't want you walking around with your camera.
Goodbye.
Yeah. So it's like you got to go all the way out to the parking lot, and then you got to come all the way back. So now you've missed like 3-4 songs. And you got to find your friends or whatever. So it's kind of like a bummer. When you go to shoot like out at
Burgettstown.
Yeah. S&T. No.
I knew immediately what you're talking about because nobody can remember what that place is called.
We've been through too many. Everybody my age calls it Star Lake.
Yep. Yeah, I still call it Star Lake.
But yeah, in reverence to my Live Nation people, S&T Bank. But yeah, I mean, it's cool because so let's say there's 4 bands or 5 bands or whatever. Well, I'll shoot the first 3 songs and then I got to go sit. I can't like hang out in the audience. Now I can, but I got to make sure someone's watching my equipment, so it better be someone you trust because, people don't realize how much we spend in equipment as photographers. But yeah, to get back to your thing, you got to make that decision. Like I'm going to see Pearl Jam in Nashville. I'm not going to try to shoot them. I've shot them before, and believe me, I hope they come to Pittsburgh on their second, leg. But I'm just going to chill and enjoy my friend who's coming with me, and we're just having a good time in Nashville. Never been there, Same thing with Vegas. I probably won't because just chill out with the guys and and watch the band.
Yeah,
whether they're good or not doesn't matter.
Yeah. So the day-to-day life of Alan outside of the music, outside of the camera, teaching stuff.
Yeah. Teaching obviously is a huge part of my life. I've been doing it for 26 years, as I said. And I still love my job. Teenage kids crack me up. I know a lot of people are like, ew, get them away from me. They're rude. They're this, they're that. They're this generation. Everybody's got a name.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? They're no different than you were.
They're still people.
Yeah. They're pretty cool people, and the fact that I get to have a little bit of influence on them and kind of maybe set them in a direction that they never thought of. I'm not saying it's the right direction or the wrong direction, but my job is to bring them to the water and say, okay, you got to figure this out and you got to figure it out on your own, but I'm here behind you, so you don't drown. That's a lot of fun. Besides the work day to day, my wife and I are very involved in rescuing animals.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, okay. We've got a little zoo at the house. Lots of dogs, more cats than I can count. We've got parrots, little birds, a bearded dragon. It's insane. But majority of them are rescues. So that's really, really important to us. And we've been involved with some organizations here locally and try to support them and do work for them. So that's a huge part of our lives as well. And that's our family. We don't have kids. Our dogs and our cats, and those are our children. And it's very fulfilling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How has it been like being a teacher and just tapping into like a music fan, like being a music fan and still being a teacher and like seeing like the generations of music and the ways things they cycle and things come back around and stuff like that.
It's interesting. Today it's all rap, hip hop, for the most part, and it's no different than, when I was a kid, hair metal was real big and everybody was into that. And then, after that it was, the grunge and, there's always a scene, right?
It's like whatever has the most attitude tends to be the most popular.
Yeah. But the cool thing though is, even though I sit and I have conversations, the kids teach me, You know what I mean? I'll be like, who's this Lil Yachty?
Yeah.
what is this? You know, and they tell me stuff, and which is really cool because I'm not as versed in a lot of this stuff. But it's also cool to watch kids like when they saw the Queen movie, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Okay.
And like all of a sudden kids are discovering Queen. I'm like, oh man, that's awesome. Like, I love that, you know? So rock and roll isn't dead. It never will be. I think we'll have a resurgence of, you know, your classic type rock and roll bands eventually. You can find them if you want to. They didn't go away.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, regular radio, you know, isn't playing them, but they're out there. But yeah, I love to learn stuff from the kids. It's pretty cool. And then every once in a while, I'll run into a metalhead, and you know, I'll see them wearing like a Sepultura shirt. I'm like, no way, you know. And just like every metalhead, you know, as soon as you see the shirt, you start talking, and you know, and that's always pretty fun too.
Yeah. Do they know about like the Pittsburgh Music Magazine stuff?
Some do. I mean, I'm an open book.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big things I have as a relationship with my students. I'm not their friend. They can't call me. We can't hang out and, you know, do dinner, but, you know, I'm there to support them. I'm a friendly person. And so, I think talking about my life sometimes during class, brings them in, because once again, it's like, oh, he's human. You know, he's not a robot. He's not a jerk, you know. And I'll talk about my wife. I'll talk about my animals, you know, I'll talk about it, and they're like, oh my God, like really? Like, you know, you met Charlie Puth or, you know, any of these, like, you know, and I'm like, I didn't even know who it was. I'm sorry, but he was a nice guy, you know, but like they love that kind of stuff. And, so that's kind of cool. I don't make it a big, you know, to do, but, it's a nice connection. And, you know, look at me. I'm a different looking guy for a teacher. I think some people think I'm the janitor. But you know, my appearance, you know, with the tattoos and everything helps, because they're just like, all right, you know, sometimes they're scared of me at first, you know, sometimes like, all right, they already have a connection, but eventually it all works to see, you know what, it doesn't matter what's on my skin, doesn't matter what color I am, it doesn't matter if I'm straight or gay. It just, you know, we're human, we're all cool, you know, let's just, you know, do our thing.
Yeah. With the being around a lot of children, something I'm really curious about is, have you noticed any sort of overly negative side effects of social media and technology on kids over the past couple decades?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. You know, but I think like everything, you have to see it. It's a double-edged sword. You know, I remember when the internet first started, that's how old I am, that I had to learn that stuff in order to teach. And it has made me a better teacher because I can communicate, I can see, you know, different types of things, and I can incorporate those things. But it's all this, so the biggest distraction, you know, the phones are insane.
I don't even, like, what is school like now, like with phones? Like, I have no idea. I don't know.
Yeah, it depends where you are.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like everybody has the rules, you know, and you can have a school rule or you can have an individual class rule. My general rule is, you know, be respectful to me. I'm not going to pull out my phone unless I need to. Same thing with you. I understand your parents sometimes call you. I understand, you know, with the age of kids, I teach juniors and seniors. Work doesn't care if they're going to call you or text you or whatever.
Yeah.
I get that. You know, if you got to do it, go outside, you know, make your call, come back in, make it quick, you know. Please, you know, if we're watching a documentary or something and I see your face lit up,
yeah.
I mean, come on, you know, so I do have to deal with that. And you always have your kids that are, they're just addicted to their phone. It's not even that they're disrespectful. They can't get away from it. And
sure.
So, you know, you talk to them about it, and I just try to respect them and understand that's a huge part of their lives. But as you know, meet me halfway and respect me, you know, when I'm talking, when I'm trying to show you something and actually teach you, put the phone away. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like, you know, we could have done this class thing, and now you could be using this time that I'm talking at you to be on your phone.
Yeah.
We could actually be saving us both a lot of time right now.
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, it is very, very difficult.
I can't imagine.
But I you know, I don't think, like all media, you know, people complain about, you can't throw it away. It's a tool, and it depends how you want to use it. So there are ways that I can use social media in order to teach kids and connect with them. It's also one of the advantages that I've had by I don't think I would have gotten involved with Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff if it wasn't for the magazine.
Sure.
And so I've become familiar with those platforms. Now there's some other ones that I haven't become familiar with because it has
TikTok.
TikTok has no use for me. I can't dance anyway. So, but yeah, I mean, talk about a craze. I mean, you got kids in their study halls or, lunchroom or whatever. And, you see them, they've got their camera there and they're like making moves. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then that's how I learned about TikTok. And, hey, we would have done the same thing. You know what I mean? If it was the thing, we would have done the same.
I've had that thought, what would I be like if I had those tools when I was through middle school and high school? Who knows? I have no idea.
I don't know where I'd be.
I was very fortunate. So MySpace took off the year after I graduated high school.
Okay.
And MySpace was we had AOL Instant Messenger and stuff, but that was very disconnected. It wasn't I didn't even have a cell phone until my senior year of high school. And that was just, you could text on it. That was, it wasn't, there was no camera or anything.
Yeah.
So, to say how old I am basically, and I'm not young, but I'm in the middle. I'm in my mid 30s.
Yeah.
But,
you're young.
It was just very, very different how quick things changed just from people that I knew that were, freshmen when I was a senior. All of a sudden it became this thing where it was like, they're on their phone all the time at school. And so I was like, whoa, we can do this now?
Yeah.
It was only a couple of years ago that I graduated and it was completely, I had to keep my phone in my book bag in my locker. You couldn't even.
Yeah. I mean, you can't, there's certain things you can't fight.
Yeah.
And I've seen principals come in, they're like, all right, we're going to have absolutely no cell phones. I'm like, I hope you're ready for the parent phone calls. Oh, you got to find that happy medium, which is, some people can find it, some people can't, but there's always going to be a next thing. You bring up TikTok, Snapchat was the big thing a couple years ago. Now it's TikTok. What's it going to be next? I don't know, but you just got to go with it. And you got to be a reed in the wind, man. Mm-hmm. And if you're not, the only person you're making upset is yourself.
Sure.
I tell it to teachers all the time, like, why are you angry, man? This is number one, this is the greatest job in the world. Number two, they're not upset. You are. And you might have a heart attack. So just chill, work with them, talk with them about it. And generally 90% of the time it works out. They're pretty cool,
Yeah. With social media and going back to Pittsburgh Music Magazine.
Yes.
How has, the evolution of social media helped you with the website and, Facebook and Instagram and sponsoring posts and doing all, you do all that sort of stuff?
I mean, obviously, what I do probably wouldn't exist without, Facebook, social media, and so forth. I think I could have a little blog, certainly. But would it get out to as many people as it does? No, there's no way. So, Facebook's been great. I can see, where people are coming from. And, I have articles that are 10 years old, not 10 years old, 8 years old. And, I can oh my God, I'm still getting hits on that, and it's coming from those sorts of places. How people find them, I don't know. But Instagram's great. That's my favorite because I'm a visual person. So to be able to say, hey, I sat down with this person, or here are some of my shots. That's opened up a lot of doors for me. In particular, some of the bigger venues to be able to say, okay, this guy isn't a hack. And also I try to always be professional. I've seen enough photographers get kicked out of venues permanently because of not being professional as a photographer.
Oh, okay. How so?
Well, one of the things you typically don't want to do at a place like PPG, you do not want to guzzle a beer right before the band goes on. What you do after, the 3 songs or whatever, if you have a ticket or they gave you a ticket,
sure,
that's your business. Stage E isn't necessarily like that. They're pretty chill, but I've seen photographers try to sneak to shoot bands that they're not approved for. Okay. And then, that gets the promoter in trouble. And so they're not happy with you. Or just, you're generally just a jerk. if you're nice, if you're cool to the staff, if you talk to the fans, you do your 3 songs or your 4 songs or 1 song or whatever it might be, and you get off and you go, they're fine with you. It doesn't take much, but
it's amazing how being nice can get you almost anything.
Yes.
It always blows my mind when I meet people that are just very complicated, or for lack of a better word, assholes. It's like, it's so much more difficult to be that kind of a person than to just be nice. But a lot of people that are like that have some deep rooted stuff going on that has, that's way under the surface, and you got to figure that out.
I think what people need to learn is be nice to everybody. I'm not just nice to Amy, who runs Stage AE, or Alyssa, who does everything with PPG. Those are the big people for me. But be nice to the security guards, be nice to the ushers, talk to everybody. When I did make t-shirts and sweatshirts and all that stuff, those are the people I gave stuff to, because I know full well, working in a school, especially, the janitors were in the building. If you want something done, you go to the secretaries or you go to the janitors. Don't go to the principal. You're never going to get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My dad instilled that in me, and a mentor of mine, Jeff Wright, he instilled that in me. Never be afraid to clean the toilets, is basically what they said. You're not above it. So, respect those people and what they do. And I think that's where some people go wrong. They're only nice to the bigwigs, but they're not nice to everybody who actually makes things happen.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that being nice to everybody and putting that positive energy out, it's contagious.
Yes.
Positivity can be very, very contagious. And if you just have a good attitude to everybody, whether it's, the head chef at the restaurant, or the person serving you the food, or the person greeting you, it's like that energy is going to carry with you.
No doubt.
And it's who wants to be in a bad mood?
No, it's, obviously we all get in our bad moods.
Oh,
and
totally.
So forth, but
again, we're human.
Yes,
we're only human.
Exactly. But, when I go to work, I do my best. I do the same thing, when I'm out at shows. I smile, I say hi, I ask people how they're doing. I might not feel like it, like deep down I might be going, oh man, I got to pay this bill, and I got to clean, and now I got to process these pictures. But if I put forth that effort a little bit, I find it brings me out of that funk that I might be in. Yeah. And it opens me up to other people.
You're putting time into things that you love and care about. And what's better than that?
No, it's a good life.
Have you ever considered doing any videography? Have you thought about that?
I've done it just like little stuff with interviews. I've done a lot, with the YouTube channel and everything like that. And I was really into that for a while. I haven't done it as much as of late. I kind of fell out of it. It's interesting you bring that up. I actually, for the first time, I'm teaching an introduction to film class next year, because film is a love of mine as well. Okay. It's going to be more about how film fits in with culture, but we are going to try to get into filming with your cell phone and all that kind of stuff, since that's, and editing and all that kind of stuff. So who knows? That might be my next big thing. My wife will tell you it's always something, and she'll be like, oh God, what's next? Yeah. Eventually, the website isn't going to be important to me anymore. It's not going to be forever, and photography might get old for a little while, and I'll pick something else up. So who knows? Yeah, no, I love just learning and challenging myself to do different and new things. It's always around art or music, but it's just, I think it started out just from whenever I was younger. I didn't have anybody else that had like the same obsessive thing that I had. Yeah. So it was just like, okay, like I want to learn how to make music, and I want to learn how to record it. And okay, I need to learn how to make an album cover. And who manufactures CDs? I got to figure this out. And just continuously learning. Oh, we need a music video. I have a little VCR camcorder. Let's learn how to make a video. Yeah. But that's part of the creative process. Yeah. I might not know how to do it, but especially today, YouTube's wonderful. I can figure out anything. I can, I might be able to fix the sink. Who knows? But okay, my wife's shaking her head now. It'd probably be her fixing the sink before me. But it's amazing. You say like, okay, I have friends. One of my best friends, Joe Lucas. He's a teacher, but like he does woodworking, and he is absolutely amazing. And he's got this craft that basically he's learned by watching YouTube. It's amazing. But, we all have those different creative outlets, but it's kind of cool that, hey, if I want to take up painting, if I want to learn how to play a song on guitar or whatever, I just,
Yeah.
it's out there,
And the other thing that's really cool too about developing and just getting a very base understanding of all those things is it helps you build respect for other people that do it full time, because you have an understanding of how much work actually goes into this. It's like you never, maybe before getting into photography, you may have seen photos and be like, oh, cool, that's a good photo.
Right.
But now you're like, oh, like, wow, like, how did they must have a camera with crazy ISO settings or something to get the lighting right in this place.
Everybody thinks you just snap the picture.
Yeah.
But it's like, there are different things that you have to learn. And, you can do all the filters that you want, but if you want to be a good photographer, you need to learn Lightroom or, Photoshop, one or the other, in order to make the best picture possible. It's not just fixing crappy pictures.
Well, it's like a back to like woodworking, right? It's like say you want to build a shelf. You don't just like haphazardly cut your pieces and then put it together and try to sand it down after it's been assembled to get it to fit. It's like, no, you got to make sure everything is cut right. You got to, every step has to be right from the beginning to get the good product.
It's a process.
Like learning the settings in the camera and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know really hardly anything about photography aside from like, very, very basic things. I have more like of a video understanding, and it's interesting how completely different those worlds are.
They are. I mean,
you would think it's very similar, but there are a lot. There's similar terminology and similar things that you use, but the end result, you got to do completely different things.
Yeah, I think the lighting especially.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, the way you would light something for video versus photography is completely different.
Yeah, no doubt. And you know what I love about that, and maybe it's one of the things you love about videography, is like it's infinite learning. Like you've never mastered it. There's always something else that like you don't know.
It's kind of humbling.
The camera's very, my wife, for my 50th birthday, bought me this unbelievable camera. So I basically went from a Cadillac to like, I don't know, like a Formula One racetrack.
Sure.
And I'm like, what do I do with this? I had no clue, because it was like, it's the same brand of camera, but it did all these crazy, and I still have got a million things to learn.
And then if you get into the wide, wonderful world of lenses.
Yes. Oh, lenses are crazy. Lenses are crazy. There's some basic ones that you can get for concert photography that are kind of standard. And what's really cool, if you're an aspiring photographer, you can get a nifty 50, which is basically a 50 millimeter. It's about $110 to $120. It's made out of plastic. So if you break it, get a new one. But it is amazing for low light. So you can get into, a basic camera and get that, basic lens, and you can get some pretty good pictures. Now, I'm glad that I started with, a little Rebel, because I really had to learn to work with tough things that I didn't have tools for. So it's good that I didn't start off with that Formula One, that I started off with, a beat up Honda. Because I really had to learn that craft in a completely different way. And I would encourage people, do the same thing. Don't think that you have to buy a $3,000 camera or, a $5,000 lens in order to do things. Start off small, and, and little by little, hopefully you can get to those, those great lenses.
I think the most important thing is always the end result.
Yeah.
And, if your goal is to just, you want to go to a show, or you want to go outside, or you want to go downtown, whatever you want to take photos of, whatever your thing is.
Yeah.
If your end result is what you're happy with, that's cool.
Yeah.
But if you're somebody that wants to be a little bit more of a purist and, get more into like learning all of the manual settings on your camera, I guarantee you're going to get better photos.
Yeah.
But if you're happy with just, something off the shelf, all your automatic settings, and you're getting the pictures that you want that's fine. I think it's just like, most likely people that have that mentality aren't interested in doing it like super duper full time. It's probably just kind of like more of a hobby thing versus like somebody that actually wants to learn the craft of photography or whatever else it is.
There's a creativity to it as well, though. So like you can know all of those manual settings. You can know all about the lighting, and you're going to take some nice pictures, but you become like a technical photographer, not a creative one.
Oh, sure.
It's kind of like you see people play guitar, and you're like, okay, that person can hit 1,000 notes, in a minute, and it's really technically cool. But Eric Clapton just played 3 notes and it had more soul than anything.
Sure, yeah.
You know,
I've talked about this a lot. There's a big difference between being a good player and a good songwriter.
Yeah.
Some people are both.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily have to be a good player to be a good songwriter.
Right.
And you could be a great player and a terrible songwriter.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's same thing goes with photography, videography, all kind of sorts of things. I'm very fortunate that I think I have an eye for things. I see things differently than maybe other people do. And so, my photograph next to the next person's photograph, even though they might be the same positions, they're going to look a lot different.
Oh yeah. I have a couple buddies of mine that do photography. My friend Nick Prezioso, who does a lot of concert photography. He does a lot of video stuff too. He's like shot videos for my band and stuff. Really good dude. Shout outs to Nick. And my other friend Nathan King, who doesn't do so much live photography, but he does a lot more like art-based photography.
Oh, cool.
And the thing that's really cool about both of them is that they have like a look. They've like developed like a style with like the particular colors and the way that they grade everything, where it's like I could see any photo of theirs and just like be like, oh, that's Nathan probably took that, or Nick probably took that, just because they have a style that they've developed through their using the manual settings and finding a voice, like a visual voice through the photos. It's awesome.
It's the same thing as being like a director of a movie. A Quentin Tarantino from a Martin Scorsese film immediately, even though they're basically telling, they could tell the same story, but it's going to be completely different, So, I mean, I think that's the wonderful thing of it. Everybody's different, and why I appreciate anybody who does anything creative, because you're bearing your soul in some ways. You're kind of naked with your art, whatever that might be. And if you're get out to the public, man, that's just be ready for criticism.
Sure.
I mean, you got to have thick skin, because, man, I've gotten lambasted on some stuff. I remember, I can't remember who I took pictures of, and someone called me like the Danica Patrick of, photography. And I was like, thanks, man. I'm like, she's the first woman that the name of in racing. So I'll take it. You just got to be like cool with it. Doing the interviews on YouTube. Don't read the comments ever, because people are going to crush you. But still a great experience. So just go out and do it, whatever it is.
Anytime somebody like leaves a smart ass comment on something that I've posted, I'm always just like, thanks for watching. And I'll put a little like kissy face emoji next to it or something. Just like, hey, thanks for being here.
Yeah. I'm not into the whole like,
appreciate the feedback.
Yeah. I'm not going to, get mad at you. I don't even know you.
The other thing too, is even if sometimes somebody's being a little bit of a turd online, there could be some valid points in that. Maybe you could have said it better, but sometimes like I'm learning, I'm not the best at what I'm doing.
Right.
And maybe like, okay, thanks for the feedback.
Yeah.
I'll take this into consideration.
There's nothing wrong with constructive criticism.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate. I have some friends, and I have my wife who will just tell me the truth and be like, that was horrible, or that was wonderful. I'm really proud of you. And, both mean a lot to me, and that they care enough to even look at my work, because most people, think about, Instagram. I know that person. I got to hit like, and you're,
oh yeah,
you're not even really looking.
Oh yeah. I've released music, and I've had people like the posts on Instagram or Facebook, and then I run into them out at a show or something. It's like, hey, how's it been going? Like, oh, well, I put out that new album. It's like, oh, you put out a new album?
Yeah.
You liked the post.
You liked it yesterday.
What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
And then like sometimes I'll just like watch people, like not like I'm creeping on them, but I'm just like, just happen to like look over and I see somebody on their phone and they're just like what? Yeah. Like, are you even paying attention to any of this stuff?
No.
It's like kind of soul crushing as like, being an artist, and you put art out there and you want people to engage with it. And it's like, okay, I spent, 2 weeks writing a 4-minute song that you're going to spend 1 second to not listen to, but like the post.
Yes.
It's like,
yes. Yeah.
I should have just released an album of blank audio. I'm probably going to get the same feedback sometimes. That's what it feels like.
It's the beauty of it, and it's also the ugliness of social media. We're a little desensitized, and sometimes we don't look at stuff. But when people actually care to look at it, but I think you have to care about it too.
Well, I think that it's important to step outside of this social media and be sure to remind people like, hey, like I put something out.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Let people know in person.
Yeah.
Hand them a CD, hand them a T-shirt,
Right,
do something.
right.
Like, hey,
Yeah.
hey.
Yeah. Speaking of one of the most fulfilling things I ever did, I did an art show where I just did, my photography, and, it was at a hole in the wall, and it was like no big deal, but that was really fulfilling to me to have people walk in a gallery and just kind of like see the stuff I do. That was way more than getting, 150 likes on Instagram.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. You got to get out there and do the physical.
Yeah. I try to remember sometimes like why I started getting into doing all this stuff. And it was okay, sure, I have this urge to create and put my art out into the world, but a bigger part of it too is to be able to connect with other people that have the same interests. It's not so much about the product, but just building experiences with people through the product. Like the fact that I have a band and we put out music and play shows, that's cool. But for me, I'm more interested in just meeting new people, seeing new places, and just living in it. It's not so much about like the destination, but the journey along the way.
Right. Oh, no doubt. I mean, like I said, getting caught up in that Monday through Friday grind, you've got to find other ways to connect with people, to get out there, to live life. And that's part of why all this started, and like I said, it wasn't necessarily a midlife crisis, but at 40, I'm like, what am I doing? So here I am at 50, and I'm like, all right, I've done some really cool stuff over the past 10 years, and not just work,
Well, I think no matter what, I mean, if you want something cool to happen, you got to make it happen for yourself.
Absolutely.
But I think it does get a little bit more complicated as you get older, just because it seems like if you're not somebody that's into like music or going at like what do a lot of people that get older do for social things?
Yes.
It's like the options get really, really limited.
Yeah.
It's like you don't want to go to the bar all the time. And some people might want to get to, I mean, bars are cool.
Bars are great. But
some people, it's like you don't want to do that all the time.
Yeah.
You don't want to, some people maybe they get into like country clubs if you have a certain lifestyle or, church becomes a big thing for a lot of people, but it's like finding the thing that's right for you that still like aligns with your interests, that you don't feel like you're like losing a big part of yourself by doing it.
We're all looking for our tribe.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's basically, it just, goes back to beginning of our existence. I think, we're all looking for somewhere to belong. And when you find the right people to belong to, it's pretty cool. I'm very fortunate that I have a lot of those different crews. I've got my work crew that is just unbelievable. I mean, there's just so much support and laughter. God is laughter every day, which is awesome. I've got a crew of like really good friends from my childhood that I'm still in touch with. I've got different workout partners over the year, the whole like strength community that my wife and I have become very, very involved with and friendly with. To have those different tribes of people that you have this thing in common, I think that's what we're all looking for. There are some people out there that they don't have that at all.
It takes a lot of time in patience, I think, and depending, like with music, it was really hard for me because I felt like by the time that I was like turning like 24, 25, 26, a lot of my peers that were in my age group were starting to get out of playing so much music.
Yes.
And then I found myself spending close to the next decade of my life hanging out with 21-year-olds because like it was like I'm getting older, but everybody in this music scene is still like, early 20s. And it's like I'm still trying to do this. But over time, I eventually started finding more people that were my age. Not that I have a problem hanging out with people that are younger.
No,
but it's just
doubt.
Like it's a different vibe.
It is.
It's just a different energy. Yeah, I'm finally at that point in my life now where I'm like, these fucking kids, it's starting to happen. I'm trying to stop myself from being that person, but I'm getting the first wave of it now.
Yeah. You gotta resist.
Yeah.
Resist. But yeah, I give as much grief to the kids as I do to the older people. So.
No, I mean, this show's helped me a lot because like, I have people in here all over the place. I've had a lot of people on here recently that are underage.
Yes.
Just like younger hip hop kids. Yeah. It's like living in an entirely different world, telling me about their Snapchat and the TikTok and stuff. And it's like, I have no idea what we're talking about here. Like people on here, they're like, yeah, none of my friends use Instagram. We don't have Facebook. We're not into that.
Yeah.
And it's like, how are we going to promote this episode?
Yeah.
I got to make a TikTok to promote this to your fans. But it's just like, it's so interesting because they're still finding out about the show somehow because they're asking me to come on. So it's getting out there somehow.
Oh, that's great.
It's a cool thing. You just do it and it gets out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you put out a quality product, people are going to find it. Right.
Yeah.
So,
you hope.
You hope. Yeah. I mean, there's always stuff out there that we don't know. There's some amazing musician out there that we haven't seen yet. But
I find you got to be loud to be a loud voice, and I find myself sometimes being a little, unfortunately, too modest. I think sometimes maybe a little too humble. I got to be a little more like, look at me.
Yeah, there's
look at me.
Yeah, there's a fine line of like, okay, I've got some humility, but I also have to self-promote.
It's like
it's
like leaving that ego on the stage. Yes. We were talking about that before. Yeah.
But you have to humbly self-promote.
Yeah.
Which is a really weird thing. But
it's weird when you're very aware that we've talked a lot about people just being people.
Yeah.
When you're super aware that I'm just a person.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot more complicated to try to put yourself out there as something more than just a person.
Yeah.
Which you have to sell yourself like that sometimes to some people.
You do. We're all just people, but we have different experiences, right? It's like I tell my students, I'm not smarter than you. In fact, you're probably smarter than I am, but I've got a lot of years on you. So I've got all this experience that I can lay on you, and so when you put it like that way, I think we're all at the level playing field, but I might have more in this and you might have more in that. So we can all learn from each other. And, it's a weird thing to get into. I don't know. So it just popped in my head, but I love skulls. Like, a lot of people were into skulls, or music and everything. But for me, the cool thing about skulls is that I don't know, looking at that, whether you're male, whether you're female, whether you're a musician, whether you picked up garbage, what your sexual orientation was,
sure.
If you, had religion, you don't have nothing. I just see that skull. And that's what I think is so cool about them. And that's kind of like how I like to look at people, if I can.
Yeah. No, that's a really, really interesting and creepy yet beautiful way of looking at it. No, seriously.
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I never really thought about that, but that's a really, really, Now I'm like thinking about it, but also trying to keep a conversation moving along.
Yes,
but we are rounding we're rounding home base here as we're finishing up here, almost at our hour. Before we completely pull the plug on this, let's talk one more time just about Pittsburgh Music Magazine, the website, and maybe some other places where people can find the stuff online.
Yeah.
Tell us about your TikTok account.
Yeah. You can see me dance never. But if you go to Pittsburgh Music Magazine, .net or .com, doesn't matter, you'll find us. And there's a lot of cool stuff on there. Obviously, you can go to Instagram. It's PGH Music Mag is my handle, if you will. And same thing with Facebook. Just put in Pittsburgh Music Magazine. I'd love for people. I just like for people to maybe connect. Yes, I love for you to look at my stuff. Thank you if you make a comment. I appreciate it. I really do, because it gives me some affirmation that maybe I'm doing something right. So believe me, I'm not bashful to get praise. But I mean, it makes us feel good, right?
Sure.
I mean, let's be honest. It's nice. And we wouldn't put our stuff out there if we didn't want a little bit of that. You have to be honest with your ego. But the other thing is, if you see me at a show, come and talk to me, because a lot of times, I can't drag my wife out all the time. We do work. So I'm by myself. So it's really cool to interact with someone who says, hey, I saw your photos, or, hey, I read your blog, or whatever it might be, and just have a conversation. So, and that would be awesome. I love that.
Hell yeah. All right. Let's wrap this son of a bitch up. And that is all, folks. Thanks so much for listening one more time. Alan, Pittsburgh Music Magazine. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Brian. Man,
it's really good to chat with you.
Really
Hell
cool.
yeah. I'll be back again in a couple days with another episode. Same time, same place, same channel. You know the drill. My name is Sykes. Start the beat. 2020. Whoop, whoop. Thanks for listening. And we are done, my friend. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you, man.
Cool.
That was great.